So now we're talking about the last film in this series, The Dark Knight Rises. Batman is considered a criminal for the death of Harvey Dent. He stopped being Batman for many, many years. But now he has to face this new threat, Bane, as he wants to destroy the city. And he must find his strength to become Batman again. So what were your thoughts about Dark Knight Rises?
I think for me it was anticlimactic and felt less focused than the previous film. Had it not followed on, The Dark Knight, I think it would have actually been a very solid film, probably comparable to the first film. Had some strengths the first film didn't have, and again, a little bit of a lack of focus that even the first film did have.
Yeah.
But it was not, I didn't think it was a train wreck like Spider-Man 3. So
I don't know. I think I disagree with most of that. And I think this is the part of the review where we're going to be Siskel and Ebert.
Problem is bathroom humor, Gene.
And it's very funny.
Humor.
It's very funny.
It's not that. If you think it's funny,
Yes,
then
I
maybe
do.
you need to grow up along with Eddie Murphy.
Oh, Roger. She comes to that camp naive, and she grows up at the end of the
And
film.
that's
I
the
like
cliche,
it.
Gene. That's a cliche.
Not the way she
Surprise
plays
yourself
it.
for it.
Not the way she plays it.
It's just all by the numbers.
Not the way she plays
all
it.
by the numbers.
okay.
on this movie. And I'm fine with that. I think The Dark Knight Rises is a great movie. Again, one of the best comic book movies of all time. Not quite as good as The Dark Knight, but that is a high bar to reach.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that this movie does have some issues as it's starting, but it leads to a very emotionally satisfying end.
Yeah. I did think
the
it was a good
act,
closure for sure.
again, the acting is really good. Michael Caine actually gives his best performance of the trilogy in this movie. Like, he gives out more emotion in this chapter. Like the scene where he's talking to the graves of Bruce Wayne's parents.
I'm so sorry. I failed you. You trusted me. And I failed you.
Or that scene where he finally admits to Bruce Wayne that he burned Rachel's letter to spare him the pain after she died in The Dark Knight.
I know what this means.
What does it mean?
It means your hatred. And it also means losing someone that I have cared for since I first heard his cries echo through this house.
As far as Batman, he's actually more vulnerable than ever in this movie. He struggled with both Ra's al Ghul and the Joker in those films, but he still took care of them. He faces off with Bane, and in their first confrontation, Bane just mops the floor with him. Also, the thing I liked about Batman in this movie is that he shows more emotion through his mask in this movie, more than the other films. The other films, he's pretty serious behind there. We also have Catwoman in this movie, and I really liked her character. Like, Michelle Pfeiffer was good for what she was in Batman Returns, but she was more of a cartoon character, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I am Catwoman. Hear me roar.
Catwoman in Dark Knight Rises feels like an actual person. She has an actual arc. I like how in that scene that I mentioned recently of Batman and Bane fighting, it keeps cutting to her reaction. Because earlier in the movie, she tricks Batman into coming there so that Bane can beat him up. And you can just tell through her reactions as it's cutting back to her that she's like, oh, I screwed up. And like,
Before we talk about Bane, I just want to say that I actually agree with most of what you had to say about Catwoman, but I think we're probably going to disagree about Bane. So
okay, let's see where this goes. So I like Heath Ledger disappeared into the Joker.
Mhm.
I feel like Tom Hardy really disappeared into Bane.
yes, I agree with that part of it. I really do.
Okay, and he's actually my favorite villain of the series. If you took out Joker, Joker's the best. But if you took out Joker, Bane is the best.
A lot of loyalty for a hired gun!
Or perhaps he's wondering why someone would shoot a man before throwing him out of a plane.
If I pull that off, will you die?
It would be extremely painful.
You're a big guy.
For you. Calm down, Doctor. Now's not the time for fear. That comes later.
Don't much of anything, do you? Where's Bang?
Oh, you told him it was urgent.
Oh, where is that mask?
Speak of the devil, and he shall appear.
You stay here. I'm in charge.
Do you feel in charge?
Him and Talia al Ghul had kind of a thing going. And I don't know, I just kind of felt bad for him learning that he got his face busted up and Ra's al Ghul was like, no, like, you still need to go. We don't need you. After he protected his daughter. I don't know. And also, he also shows emotion through his face mask, like Batman.
The performance was solid. Even the choice of accent was solid, but there was something about the way they processed the voice in the sound editing that made it
was pretty loud in the movie.
It was loud, and it also just felt cheesy. It felt cheesy to me, and it actually undermined the performance. But I could recognize that it wasn't his performance that was at fault. I felt it was the sound editing that was at fault.
All right. The IMAX shots in this movie. In particular, that huge shot of all the bridges in Gotham blowing up. That was pretty ambitious, and they nailed that shot.
It was a good sequence.
Yeah.
That was the other issue that I do have with The Dark Knight Rises, which again, I agree with you, actually, was a pretty good movie. I just feel like they were struggling with the same thing that almost every franchise struggles with, and that trying to one up what they did in the movie before.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was a few things where they went so big that it felt a little forced to me.
Okay.
That it didn't have to go that big, but it was still entertaining.
The ending was very emotionally resonant and just epic at the same time, especially Batman's last line to Gordon.
A hero can be anyone, even a man doing something as simple and reassuring as putting a coat around a young boy's shoulders to let him know the world hadn't ended.
Bruce Wayne.
I enjoy how Batman is finally viewed how he deserves to be viewed as a hero. He gets his statue. The scene where Alfred sees Bruce sitting at the table, and it's kind of like a moment of realization that they're living their own lives at the moment, and Alfred kind of sees how Batman is now going to have another life that maybe he should have. And there was some nice closure there as well. Also, the fact that one police officer played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt is revealed to be Robin.
Yeah,
I like that as well. Like it, I don't see how it would lead into much, being that this movie closes a lot of things out really well.
Yep.
But it was a good nugget. My only real issue with Dark Knight Rises is some of the pacing and parts. There are some parts that really kind of drag in the movie. I can see how some people would say that would talk about plot holes as a major part of the thing, but I don't know. I caught some of them, but it didn't really affect my enjoyment. And also, like, in the end, this film series is about people, not the over-the-top elements that are in this movie, but it's not centered on them. It's centered where it should be, and that's in the people that inhabit this interesting world. I'm going to give The Dark Knight Rises an A-. Before we close out the video, why don't we give our final thoughts for what we think about the Batman, or what we expect from it?
I have been keeping myself as in the dark as possible. I have striven to learn as little as possible about this incarnation, because one of the mistakes I made going into the previous trilogy was all paying attention to all the comparisons with previous editions and all of the sideshow circus trivia that went on. So I really have tried to learn as little about it as possible so I can walk in there really, and it'll be a fresh experience other than my own personal views of the previous movies. So.
I've seen all the trailers, but all the trailers have been good trailers. Like, they show you enough to get you interested, but they don't sell you the whole movie.
What if it's just that it doesn't have an ending?
I still feel like there's some pretty interesting aces up the Batman sleeves. I am really excited for the Batman. I'm even more excited because I get to see it 2 days early. Guys, thank you for watching. And as always, have a great day.